Well, there you have it. Is the power of women, and the most women we have had in sports have been the likes of Martha from Brazil and what they do. But then again, we are back here with another set of sports journalists. That time we are now in the home run when it comes to the touchline here on Y254 12 to 2 hashtag touchline Y254. We had a conversation earlier considering Chan, but we have got someone who says he has comments.
So passionate and leave saying something about Chan. What do you have to say about Chan now that
yourself, my friend.
Don't die.
You want me to comment?
Yes.
It's sad, you know. It's really sad. Yeah, I think it's really sad that we actually even laughing about it.
Yes.
Because that was perhaps our biggest chance to, host Africa, in this nation. The number of teams that participate in that tournament is huge, and it's not just about the competition itself. We're talking about sports tourism and all that, and basically just marketing Kenya as a sports destination and all that. But just making a general comment, I think this all stems from the fact that our president is arrogant. Yeah, he's a bit arrogant, to be honest. And that is, I think, is that arrogance that he used to face, the competition as well, knowing that, he's not the one who's cooking it. The cooking is being done in the CAF headquarters,
Yes.
So that's why I think at the end of the day we lost it. And the most unfortunate thing about this country in general is that whenever such kind of things happen, heads don't roll. Somebody should have been held accountable to this. And I think even Nick Mwenda himself, the president of FKF, he himself, he said that if he loses Chan, he's going to step down. Then now we've lost Chan. He comes out and says that no, this thing, we didn't lose it because of me. It was because of somebody else, and we have to, at least we can thank Nyamoya for getting us Chan, but now we have to really go hard on Nick Mwenda for making us lose Chan. Yeah. I think the government obviously had a hand in it, the stadiums that were promised, but the fact that we didn't get it, for me, it's more of, FKF president, and, you could have pushed all those guys in the government, to ensure that we host this thing. So the fact that we don't host it, for me, Nick Mwenda should resign.
Steve Aya, football journalist and also writing for two media, giving his submissions, of course, after Kenya failed to host Chan. It's the fan zone where we're dissecting about international football and various European league fixtures lined up this particular afternoon. Of course, the mouth-watering clash of the day pitting the reigning champions, Chelsea Football Club, against Manchester City, 2014 champions. And I know, of course, Ronnie Aloy, our residential panelist, is also on the set. And for the sake of parity and equality, you will also have something to say about Chan's hosting failure. What do you have to say in less than a minute?
I think history is repeating itself. In '96, we lost it to South Africa when President Moi wrote to Issa Hayatou saying that I can't host this thing. So I think from the statement that came from CAF, they said the delegates overwhelmingly decided that Kenya's lack of preparations made it lose this tournament. So I think in Kenya, people don't resign. People are either forced out of office or they die. So Nick Mwenda is here to stay. We got to live with it. Too sad that we've lost it. The good thing now is Sakafa is coming here. So let's plan for Sakafa and see how best we can host Sakafa after 2 years in the cold.
And now, Steve, over to international football. UEFA Champions League fixtures during midweek, and the biggest upset beating French moneybags Paris Saint-Germain against Bayern Munich. That saw, the French side beating the opponents by 3-0. And a day after, Carlo Ancelotti, the tactician, got sacked. Did you see that happening?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, really. Ancelotti, I think, is one of the best managers we have in the world. Unluckily for him, I think there's been a bit of a revolution in terms of coaching, in terms of tactics, but I don't think he's really run with it. And also, given the competition that he won last season, only the Bundesliga. I mean, Bayern Munich is like Celtic in the Scottish League. They are almost always guaranteed to win the title. So I think the management at Bayern said no, this is not good enough. And also given the fact that they only reached the quarterfinals of the Champions League last season, and also a 3-0 defeat, be it the fact that they were away to PSG in Paris, and they have, I think, some of the best players and arguably the best frontline in Europe right now. The likes of Neymar there, the likes of Cavani and Mbappe. Being beaten 3-0 shouldn't be such a big upset, but it's Bayern Munich we're talking about. So I think Ancelotti had to go.
One thing I learned was that there was player mutiny to Carlo Ancelotti sacking. There were players who never wanted him in that dressing room. The likes of Arjen Robben, Frank Ribery,
Definitely the
Lewandowski.
two are to be mentioned when it comes to player mutiny.
Yeah, the five, they say 5 players, Arturo Vidal, they never wanted Carlo Ancelotti. And it's just bad for Bayern Munich now because Matthias Lothar, the guy was here last week, he said the Bayern Munich team lacked balance, lacked rhythm, the team that we have not seen Bayern Munich play like that before. Carlo Ancelotti is gone. Which coach is in the market right now fit for Bayern? Hey, Chris Peters.
Okay, I think before you even answer, I think the Bayern Munich administration, I think they were a bit hard on Ancelotti because looking at the performance and comparing that performance with what Pep Guardiola did, I think he was to be given a bit of time, not now, because it's only 6 matches in the league and he's already sacked. And then I think the player mutiny, the one you're talking about, it's so unfortunate that you find that some players felt that he was not hard enough, he was not strong enough, he was not standing for whatever he means. So I think, for me, generally, Bayern Munich was a bit unfair for the coach.
The best replacement maybe lined up to
The former Dortmund coach is reportedly heading to Bayern. He's the front runner for the job after Thomas Tuchel is reportedly heading to Bayern. But again, Ancelotti's, besides the player mutiny, when he even took the job, there was so much loud cry, especially after he appointed his son as the assistant coach, his 28-year-old son, who was an AC Milan youth player. So there was this talk of football nepotism from quarters in Germany, but nonetheless, Bayern started the season very badly. They were not so convincing as champions, and I think it was just a matter of when and not if Ancelotti will be sacked.
Well, that one is done, and let's say that Bayern Munich is going to win. But now, coming over to England, and matches are happening this evening. We've got Manchester City playing against Chelsea this afternoon. But before we do a preview on that match, we're going to talk about the injury crisis in these teams right now. The Manchester clubs are on a very good run. They have started very well, but they have lost Pogba. Mourinho came and said it might be a long-term injury. Carrick is out. Fellaini is out. And also, you've got Sergio Aguero also getting a rib crack in Netherlands, going to have fun there now. What's wrong with this? This injury crisis is going to affect them or not?
Definitely. I mean, if you look at the caliber of players who we are talking about here, have gotten injured, the likes of Pogba, the likes of Aguero, those are players who can actually win you games on their own. Especially for me, I think Aguero is really on form. Remember when the season was beginning, everyone was wondering, is he going to be at Manchester City this season? Because, I mean, it's obvious that Pep Guardiola is not such a big fan of Aguero, but he's someone who, when you put him on the pitch, he gives you the goals, and that's a striker's job. For Manchester United, Paul Pogba, maybe for me, I don't think it's such a big loss for them, because I'm looking at perhaps somebody might come in place of him, under Herrera,
yes.
To come into that midfield. He can do the job. He can do the job because, you have Herrera there and you have Juan Mata and you have, I think, the best signing of the season so far, Nemanja Matic,
yes,
for Manchester United. So I think they still have players who can win the games for them. But Pogba is such a vital player, so they are going to miss him, but probably not that much.
Ronnie, when Steve is talking about the possible replacements for one Paul Pogba who's now out injured, is it good riddance for players like Marcus Rashford and Ander Herrera who've not been getting sufficient playing time at all?
We've seen the United side, especially in attack. The players have really been giving Mourinho so much options in his hands. We've seen even Martial has come to the party. He's really doing well for them. I think the injury is also in a way a good, working also for the other players who should now also come up and show what they have. But also moving to the other side, the City side, where we have the big match this Saturday. You notice City lack two of their key players, Benjamin Mendy and Kun Aguero. The two have been very instrumental. If you look at Mendy, he's been very key, especially moving forward for them, providing so many attacking options for them. And you look at Aguero, he's also been getting goals alongside the Brazilian Jesus. So I think for City, it's a big blow for them. As the coach Pep Guardiola has pointed last weekend, the match against Chelsea will be their biggest test just yet. How they perform in that one will really determine how the season pans out for them. And you remember last season, they lost both home and away to Chelsea.
Yeah.
So I think this match is very important to them.
Yes, yes. I also think that I'm speaking with regard to the Chelsea match, with Aguero absent, and if you look at their last match against Chelsea, that ended 2-1. It's Aguero who scored that one goal.
Yes.
And you remember Eden Hazard scored the 2 goals. So yeah, for Chelsea. So that means, and you see, Hazard is back. So looking at it on that focus, I think this is a big blow for Man City, because you see now they're lacking the most potential player at a time that they need him most. So I think for today's match, it will cost them.
Now, can this be the yardstick? Will this be that test for Pep Guardiola? Because last season he started the same way. He was on a roll in the first 5 matches of the season, killing everybody, those goals. The moment he started meeting the big boys, he crumbled. Yeah. Is this that test now, Pep? Yeah, you're in England, 16 goals in 3 matches, but now you're meeting the champion. Or how do you make of it?
Yeah, for me, I think probably it's the battle of the reigning champions versus the champions elect. Yeah, but as you rightly pointed out, Manchester City last season, I think there's a time I was like, okay, just give them the league title already. 10 games into the season, they are scoring, from every corner, from all cylinders they were firing. Then all of a sudden they started meeting the big boys. You're talking of the likes of Liverpool, the likes of Chelsea and Manchester United. Then, it was a downward spiral then. But, I mean, you look at them this season, I think they look, this season they look more ready to win the league than last season. The 5-0 drubbing of Liverpool notwithstanding, I think, they were down to 10 men, really. Money was out. Yes. So, but if they are going to play against Chelsea, I think who are also in a really, really good form. And you have the likes of Morata, who are scoring, for fun. You have Hazard, who is back. And remember, Hazard in his last 2 games, it's 3 goals and 2 assists versus Manchester City. So, for me, that battle, I think, is going to be between Kevin De Bruyne and Eden Hazard. Whoever comes out top in terms of, their contribution going forward, will win the game for whichever the team.
Ronnie, Alvaro Morata has been in scintillating form, scoring for his Chelsea Football Club side, both in domestic and continental championships. And of course, he's been tipped as one of the biggest transfer hits, of course, alongside the likes of Mohamed Salah and Juan Romelu Lukaku, who got signed from Everton to United. Do you think his presence tonight against City will be the most worrying factor for Pep Guardiola?
We started the season very critical of Morata, saying that he's not the man to fill in Diego Costa's big shoes. And I think Morata has really proved us wrong. If you look at his conversion rate and the chances he's creating, is among the best performers in Europe currently, alongside Lukaku, Cristiano, and what have you. So Morata is doing very well. Eden Hazard is back, and there seems to be a chemistry between the two. Eden Hazard seems to be really working well with Morata, and I think Morata will really be a pain to Manchester City tonight. Chelsea this week were complaining that they just played Atletico and they have another match on Saturday. But then again, fate has a way of balancing things, City have lost 2 of their key players. Chelsea is a full house despite the fatigue. I think it's a fairly balanced match. Both sides had very tricky matches on the midweek, but I think Chelsea is the better side on paper coming into this one.
Actually, it's good to have brought in that conversation of the Champions League. Crispinas, when you look at Manchester, they played on Wednesday, they are playing on Saturday.
Yes.
The likes of Chelsea and City played on Tuesday, they are playing on Saturday. For the big boys, the Champions League will be a key factor, because now the English teams are dominating the early stages of the Champions League, and if they go on to make it to the knockout stages of the Champions League, that competition is going to be tough for them and the league itself.
Yeah, basically, you see, apart from Liverpool, who's been registering a bit of draws, most and I think by saying that, I know.
Be kind.
No tension,
It's okay, I'm sorry. But now, I think the other England clubs, I think they've done quite a bit of some good stuff, winning the 2 matches each. So, and if you look at Man City, you see the 2 matches that they've won, it's not just a small margin. You see, they win, because if they decide to win, they win. So I think, and if you look at the days they played, it's on Wednesday and Tuesday.
Yes.
So I think for me, I think it will not really affect the Saturday game.
And
Yeah.
for me, really, just to add something into that conversation, I find it really, for lack of a better word, sorry, stupid for coaches really complain about games on Wednesday and Saturdays. Because, I mean, the easiest option is do an Arsenal, qualify for Europa League,
Yes.
Play on Thursday and Sunday, or Thursday and Monday,
Yes.
deal with it, Who tells you that, there's the League Cup, there's the FA Cup, there's the Premier League, and there's the Champions League. If you don't want to participate in any of them, if you think that the fixtures are too congested, you can put on your, under 23 side, let them lose. Then you come to the league.
That's an insult.
But now, if you want to win the competition, and I think the likes of Chelsea and Manchester City, there's that, depth in squad really. They have the players who can do the job. It doesn't have to be your first team players. So it's just a case of, trusting in them and also trusting in the youth, because when you're submitting your players, I think it's around 30 players, who can play in the Premier League.
By the have you realized that when we had the Carabao Cup, it was Ferguson and Wenger who used to play the kids in the league competition. Right now, they don't. You don't see Jose Mourinho saying, I can get 5 under 23 players coming into this side and play here, and they can be sitting out. They are actually going with their best for the Carabao Cup, because now it has become a prestigious cup, or not, Ron?
And look at what Wenger even did in the Europa League against, was it Bate Borisov?
Yes. Sure.
Yes, Bate.
You could look at that bench, you're like, okay, who is this? Then you look at the first 11, maybe it's just 5 first team players who are there, but they went on and won the game. So I think maybe people should try, people want to Wenger out
gambling,
and all that, but yeah, try going the Wenger way.
He's also complaining silently. Of course, they played against West Bromwich Albion on Monday Night Football, winning, and in Europa League on Thursday, and probably they have a fixture tomorrow. So it's a crowded fixture all through, affecting all the teams.
Yeah,
I don't know for
Yes.
Liverpool.
So just deal with it, face it.
Victims as well.
Liverpool, we are in a good way. Go to Jurgen Klopp, we are in a good way. We are playing Newcastle. I think that's also going to be a big match. Forget about Manchester City versus Chelsea. Liverpool versus Newcastle is a big game. Given the fact that Rafa Benitez is in charge of Newcastle right now, and he's a former Liverpool manager. He won the Champions League with Liverpool, and it's going to be an emotional match really for Rafa Benitez, because he's going back to a club he shared perhaps the best emotions with them,
And had the finest squad ever.
Yes. And also you have the likes of John Joe Shelby, who was at Liverpool, now at Newcastle. You have Jorginho Wijnaldum, who is now at Liverpool, versus who was at Newcastle United.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a derby of some sort. So let's wait and see that match, the way it will turn out.
And Ronnie's Manchester going to crash Crystal Palace. Mulama was leaving the set and they said it is 3-0 for Manchester.
I'm talking from a passion.
Palace has gone for 6 matches without a win and without a goal. And United 87 years ago had a record of 11 straight defeats. Palace is just halfway from breaking that record. They're traveling to United to face a very, very on form United side. So I don't think it will get any better for United, for Palace, sorry. In spite of, and again, their main striker, Christian Benteke, is out injured. So you really wonder where the goals will now come from.
Considering you look at that picture, you're seeing a man in 9 matches, 10 goals. You got Rashford there, but also that silent killer guy,
Martial, so he's been coming in and he just gets the goal. So I think it's really sad for Palace. They're going to United, a very tough side. I don't see them getting even a goal. Then it just gets worse. They travel to Chelsea next. So tough times for Palace.
At Palace's bench, to be honest, and you see Roy Hodgson as your manager. And that's why you give up. That's why you say that 11 matches undefeated, the 11 matches. Imagine 11 match losing streak for Manchester United. I think it's going to be broken.
Yeah, the 87-year record is under threat finally.
I was wondering when I was looking at the replacements for Carlo Ancelotti, potential replacements. The Hoffenheim coach is 30 years old. Yeah. Look at that. The Watford coach, Marco Silva, is not even 40. Now, you look at Ancelotti has left, it was 56. 56. Mourinho is 54. If you look at that, you realize that Mourinho might be the oldest manager now.
Wenger is
Wenger is in his
but you realize that now it is young managers coming up. And Crystal Palace have made a big mistake getting Roy.
I think Roy Hodgson is coming in. He said he's been here before, but I don't think this position, yes, sure, he's been here, he survived, but it's very tough for him at the moment. I think sacking De Boer was a bit too fast.
Yes.
I don't see things changing for Palace. And speaking of sacking, we also have another big match that is coming up, West Ham versus Swansea.
Wow.
And also one manager is on the line, Slaven Bilic.
Yes.
And the man reportedly set to replace him is Carlo Ancelotti. He's the front runner for that job.
Yeah.
So very, very interesting days coming up. So I don't think if Slaven Bilic can retain his job. But last season, he was here again in this position.
Yes.
And he survived the axe.
And he survived. And actually, the match that almost they'd gone 5 matches without a win, then they met Swansea and won 1-0 in that match. So I don't think if he'll win again this one and survive, although West Ham's season has not been really bad, but again, it's not met the expectations.
With the players he had, and if it clicks, West Ham is a good side.
Yeah.
You don't want to meet them. And so you're in a cup competition and you meet West Ham, they might trouble. Finally,
Chris Magak, let's talk about the striking departments continentally. We've seen Harry Kane, the English international,
Yeah, of
playing for
course.
Spurs in
Yeah.
magnificent form. He's been so exceptional, and probably, as far as I'm concerned, if I'm to be asked
He's
who
the
is the
top-
best centre
yeah.
forward right now in the world, is among the top 3. Of course, we're leaving Messi and Ronaldo out of this picture. We're talking about the centre
Yes.
forwards. What do you have to say about the centre forwards continentally and their performance, especially in UEFA Champions League football? Roberto Lewandowski for Bayern Munich not doing very well. What do you make of the?
Okay, I think Harry Kane is proving something that most people did not see coming, because you see, I think the performance of the last year's performance with the Tottenham in the league, I think put him in the picture, so that people were now following him, wanting to see how he does his job, and I think he's proving it. Going by even looking at close, even in the Champions League, I think he's the top striker right now. Top scorer, I mean, right now. So that tells you a lot that he's, and for me, I can say a general comment that probably he lacks stiff competition.
At Spurs.
at Spurs,
Not at Spurs, generally.
In the world of football.
I know in England now the strikers in England, not football.
Because when you're talking about centre forwards, we have Sadio Kune
Yeah,
of City, Alvaro Morata of Chelsea Football Club, Roberto Lewandowski of Bayern Munich, and this
Edison
guy from Atletico
Cavani.
Madrid who scored.
Cavani.
Again, Edison
Edson Cavani of
yeah.
PSG. Maybe Ronnie Aloy, what do you think about the performance overall?
I think no doubt you got to give it to Harry Kane. He's leading the charts, and he's actually silencing many critics. We didn't expect him to be a world beater. He's really doing well. I think credit to him. He's also putting England on the map. Again, on the other side, Lukaku is doing well as a number 9 for United. So I think the guys in England are doing well, to add on Morata as well.
Antoine Griezmann?
Griezmann, Atletico Madrid. I think he's trying. He's trying. Obviously, now the conversation is all about the likes of Lukaku and the likes of Harry Kane, and but I think Griezmann is pretty much in the level of Griezmann. I mean, in the level of Lewandowski in terms of their contribution this season. I think they've not clicked well enough. But these are players who've more often than not prove that they're top strikers, and I expect them to be back in the picture in the next few coming weeks.
finally, which match will you be watching this afternoon?
Chelsea versus Manchester City.
Ronnie?
Chelsea, Man City.
Of course, Chelsea, Man City. Of course.
Thank you guys for coming. We really appreciate it. We have had fun on the touchline here. So it is a wrap for us here for the touchline crew. We have had a lot of fun today because we had the knock discussions, the chant discussions, and also the Manchester discussion, and see who is going to win. Till the next time, I'm Robert Osoro.
I'm Maxwell Wasika, and remember to watch the repeat of this particular show tomorrow from 3 p.m. East African time, Touchline Extra, and we're going to meet on Monday during Spotlight on Sports. It's been a pleasure having you on board. To the rest of our technical crew, well done job. Keep doing it. All the best and have a nice weekend.
you.